Alright, this is Chris with Progressive Ideas in Wood, and today we're going to cover all the beautiful figures that maple has to offer. We're going to cover Birdseye, we're going to cover Quilted, we're going to cover Ambrosia, and we're going to talk about Crotch figure. So if you enjoy this type of content and you find any value in it, hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the bell notification, you know the deal. Without further ado, let's dig in. Beautiful Birdseye maple. Just so you understand terminology, rock maple or hard maple is from the sugar maple tree. Soft maple encompasses a bunch of other maple trees like the red maple, also known as the swamp maple, Norway maple, silver maple, and more into the soft maple family. Birdseye comes from the sugar maple primarily. The Birdseye flex, I've commonly heard people reference it. It's unknown and there's no determining factor and they lead into a certain direction. I would bet dollars to donuts it is due to branch suckering as the tree is growing and there's a stressful condition that creates it. In pruning, since I've been an arborist for many years, not to go off on a side note, but just to put a little education out there, maple trees, a lot of the species, when you prune them, or if they go under stress or you top them, you will notice clusters of suckers or small branches all coming out of the same area. Cut into the area that they were growing out of, you would see the nodules from, if they were allowed to get larger, would become crotch figure. You would actually see the nodules. So at that small a space where they never actually form, that would be the size of what was actually happening. And logically, I can't really see anything else happening that would actually cause that and be able to be consistent among so many trees, and is a fairly common occurrence. So that's my take on it. Rock maple is typically around the 1450 Janka rating. The cost range for Birdseye is wide. It's going to depend on if the boards are clear or clean. That's when you see solid cream colored board where you don't have brown patches and other colors mixed throughout the board. Clean boards will demand a bit of a premium over the other ones. And the other factor is if it's going to be low figure, medium, or high figure. But you're looking at somewhere between $18 and $30, possibly even more per board foot. On to quilted maple. Quilted maple, it's a uniformed curly maple is what it is, but it gets the name because it's of the quilted look. It's just another term, but it's whether it's quilted or tiger or curly, it's the same type figure. This is a beautiful representation of it. This is a lovely board. The majority of the time, quilted maple is going to be from the soft maple variety, and that Janka rating is around 950. It's about a third less than its cousin, the rock maple. The cost range is going to be about $18 to $25 a board foot, and that's going to be more on where you're able to find it depending on your dealer. Quilted comes from this. No difference in what you will see in the bark from when you will actually be able to harvest curly boards from what's underneath. It'll have a ripple effect inside the bark of the tree. On the outside of the trunk, you'll notice the ripples. Quilted maple is beautiful. It's probably my favorite out of the figures, though. They're all really nice and they all have their place. This board is a beautiful version of it. Very uniformed, beautiful, figured all the way around the board. On to Ambrosia maple. Ambrosia maple gets its streaks from the Ambrosia beetle. the beetle carries a fungi as it passes through and bores, so you always see little holes when the logs are milled up into board. The streak comes from the sap in the tree while it's alive. It drags discoloration through, and that's how you actually get the streaks. It's a really cool look to it too. Ambrosia maple is another one that typically always comes from soft. I've never seen a sugar maple that had ambrosia streaks in it ever, and I've taken down a lot of maple trees. It's always in the soft maple varieties. I see it in red maple a lot, and silver maple. Don't notice it as much in Norways. Ambrosia maple is a little less expensive, but it does depend on the figure and where you're getting it. You could pick up ambrosia maple for about $12 to $20 a board foot, but some really figured pieces, if you have something that's got a lot of streaks in it, like this board is pretty well figured, and on top of it it's got curl and stuff running through it, those pieces could be over $20 a board foot. Now on to crotch figure. Crotch figuring is the action of when the trunk and a branch meet. In that crotch area is where you will get the crotch figure. That's the separation of the wood fibers going in different directions and the stress that is created by the weight coming out and the mangling of the fibers, and that's how you get the really cool crotch figure. Crotch figure is hard to have a Jenga rating on, and even if you find one, I would not count it as accurate because, I mean, think about it. Depending on where that ball bearing is getting pressed is going to depend on how hard it actually is before it gets halfway down. When you have grain direction going in every single direction, it's going to be, you know, really hard to try to gauge something accurately. So the wood surrounding the crotch figure, if it's a soft maple or rock maple, or I would go off that Jenga and just know when you get to the crotch figure, it's going to be harder and the grain direction is going to be all over. I hope that you guys found something really good out of this and valuable, and it was helpful and blah blah blah. And until the next one, Progressive Ideas out.